Hey there, it's Gary Parrish. Welcome back to the CBS Sports Eye on College Basketball podcast, where we sometimes discuss camel fighting dodo birds and leaky black. Matt Norlander is here with me. If you're watching on YouTube, smash the like button like you're Brandon Davies. You have consent, and if you haven't yet subscribed to the CBS Sports College Basketball YouTube channel, also do that while you're here. Let's get into it. Today we are continuing our conference previews for the 2023-24 college basketball season. We've already done the Big Ten. Now we'll turn our attention to the Pac-12. It's 6 o'clock a.m. in Los Angeles, and we're previewing the Pac-12.
Did we think this through? We're doing a 9 a.m. live pod on YouTube for the Pac-12, and most of the league's fan base is asleep right now.
Yeah, we've heard of Pac-12 after dark. This is Pac-12. It's still dark.
Before sunrise.
Yes. This is Pac-12 before sunrise.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't there a book or a movie or something like that?
Let me do a quick little search on the movie Before Sunrise.
Before Sunset or?
Before Sunrise, 1995 indie drama film. Directed by and co-written by Richard Linklater. Starring. Hey, what?
It's great.
You've seen it?
The whole thing. Before Sunrise, Before Sunset. There's 3 of them, I think, and the first 2 are excellent. It's just 2 people walking around Europe talking. It's great.
Who's the male movie star in it?
Nada just put it in the chat, so he's seen it. It's Ethan Hawke. I knew it was Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy. It's great.
All right, there we go.
Nada, turn your mic on. Can you vouch for me here? It's great.
Oh no, it's great. Like it was one of the few DVDs like when I used to work for Blockbuster, which is a whole other thing. But yeah, I love those movies.
How about that? I have not seen Before Sunrise, but if you guys recommend it, first of all, love movie corner to start off the Pac-12 podcast. We need to do this more frequently, and I will genuinely try and seek that out in the next few months. But before that, we've got a league walking the plank that we need to talk about here.
Yeah. Hey, my first question for you.
Yeah.
Is this our last Pac-12 preview?
It is. Well, you know what? Actually, on that note, let's get into a little bit of talk here and discuss this. I actually don't know if this will be our last Pac-12 preview because I actually checked in amid all the Gonzaga Big 12 scuttlebutt. And if you missed that part, it's on our Wednesday podcast where we led with Kansas stuff. And then we get into a relatively quick rundown on Gonzaga. On Gonzaga in the Big 12. I just checked in on where things are right now with Oregon State and Washington State. And will those schools eventually team up with the Mountain West? And no one has a definitive answer yet. It feels like it certainly is heading that way, but there is still hope being held out, and we don't have the answers yet on this because specifically, like, they're going through mediation. There's a lot of stuff that still has to be figured out with this, and the 2 remaining Pac-12 schools obviously want to hold on to that brand and to a lot of the money that's coming to the conference because of NCAA tournament units. And so I think there's a healthy chance, though no guarantee. And I think that some in the Mountain West would be open to the idea that the Mountain West might have they need to come to a marriage of the Mountain West goes into the Pac-12, all those schools. And so the Pac-12 name stays.
Right.
But, inside baseball, a lot of the stuff that happens behind the scenes, like the teams and schools and presidents that are in the Mountain West, they still reap the majority of the benefits, financial and otherwise, in order to make that happen. I think people on both sides want to make that happen. And then, oh, by the way, an offshoot of this potentially is like if Gonzaga never goes to the Big 12, if that doesn't happen, might that conference then try and get Gonzaga some years down the road? We'll see if we even get there. So I'm actually not convinced this is the last Pac-12 preview that we're going to do. That being said, my reading on that whole situation is they need to figure this out in relatively short order. And by that, I mean, Thanksgiving at the absolute latest, because these schools have to figure out scheduling for next season already. The football stuff's already a mess, but then all the other stuff. So I give it, what the hell? I'll say this is only a 34% chance that this is the last Pac-12 preview we do. I think they will figure out a way to make it happen and keep the Pac-12 branding, which means if that were to happen, the Mountain West branding as it stands right now would go away if those 2 actually wound up merging.
I think that's the most likely of all the scenarios, for all the reasons you laid out. It has always made more sense to me or seems smarter to me. And I should make it clear: the lawyers ultimately will decide what's the smartest thing to do. They'll figure this out. But it on a surface level, rather than Washington State and Oregon State just joining the Mountain West, why wouldn't you say, hey, we have the Pac-12 brand, we have these contracts that are in place, rather than we come with you, why don't we just take the best of you and come with us? And that could leave some Mountain West schools, the lower tier ones, on the wrong side of things. But that'll be a problem for them to figure out.
Agreed. Hopefully they can figure it out soon. I would like to see that happen. And I think that Oregon State and Washington State are set up to succeed going forward in a conference with colleagues that are just a little bit more on their level, and give them a better entryway pathway to all of that there. Can I give you my 5 storylines here?
Please do.
All right. So the number one is by far, it's the last year of the Pac-12, and what will we get from this league?
It's the last year of the Pac-12 as we know it.
Correct. As we know it. Last year of the Pac-12, as you know, what will we get from this league? How many bids will it get? We'll obviously get to that in just a few here. And then what will happen with Oregon State and Washington State. So that was I figured you'd team me up on it, but that is easily the biggest storyline associated with this league. 2 through 5. 2 is the health of Bronny James, without a doubt. He is expected to return and make his collegiate debut at some point this season. We don't know when, but all indications from LeBron James recently are that Bronny is working his way back, and he is expecting him to be able to play. Ultimately, it will be doctors that decide that, not his father. But that is a good sign. And then there's the other storyline. 3 is also with USC, and it's, will Isaiah Collier be the best freshman in the country? Will he be the best point guard in the country? He's the number 1 recruit in this incoming freshman class. He's got great ability to use both of his hands, go both directions, can play fast, can play strong. He's a heady player. And we mentioned this on our USC shoot-around episode. He doesn't seem to have been receiving as much discussion and ink in the 3 to 6 months leading up to his collegiate debut as some other previous top-ranked prospects in the past 5 to 10 seasons, and that's fine. But and because he plays at USC, perhaps that'll still somewhat be the case. Although Bronny's involvement will probably up his chances all the more. And USC does play on the opening night of the season against Kansas State. So there will be an opportunity for him to really shine. But will he be the best freshman, and will he be good enough to lift USC? Storyline 4, we'll keep it in LA. UCLA has a big reboot here. And, I'm not going to say that Mick Cronin's legacy as the greatest coach in UCLA history is on the line, because we know that's not the case. However, UCLA has a lot of turnover here, and I think it's on the table, in all seriousness, for the Bruins not to finish in the top 3 of the conference. At least it's on the table. We'll get to that a bit more. GP's got thoughts on UCLA, no doubt. And then storyline 5 is Caleb Love relocating to Arizona by way of a not even pit stop at Michigan after he committed there, and then problems with transferring credits and how much that would have involved him really having to go through a rigorous offseason summer course schedule to remain eligible at Michigan. So that's off. He's now at Arizona. And does he get a career reboot in a big way? And does he help boost Arizona, a Wildcats team that still plenty still think that is going to win the Pac-12? All eyes will be on him in the desert, as he should be. At least if Arizona's going to be good, Parrish, he should be a major factor and one of the best guards in the conference. Those are my 5 storylines for the Pac-12.
Just real quick on Isaiah Collier. I had never thought about this until you framed it the way you framed it. Like, I could walk into my studio at FedEx Forum, which is filled with people who work in sports, and just be like, who's Isaiah Collier? And would right. Even 1/3 of the people know.
That's accurate. Yes.
Relative to typical top prospects in the country, he's pretty anonymous, isn't he?
I would agree. No doubt about it. Yep.
But
and
he should be awesome. There's
nothing necessarily wrong with that. I think it's just the nature of he's not even 1/10 as known as his teammate that can't play right now,
right.
And that's a factor of being LeBron James' son. I get all that. We've been tracking Bronny James for 4 years. But I bring it up because that should change. And in part because of people like us, frankly, that podcast about this and write about it. And USC will be in your top 25 and 1, or at least it should, on a near weekly basis. And if Collier is as good as I think he's going to be, and I watched a little of him play in USC's overseas stuff, He's got a real chance to be a revelation. We've got our All-American teams coming out next week. One spoiler for me, I actually voted him preseason first team All-American. I think he will be that good and it was narrow, like he was my last pick for the team, but I expect him, and it wasn't an easy decision because he got Boogie Ellis. Don't get me wrong, Boogie Ellis is freaking awesome. USC is going to have one of the best backcourts in the country, but I think Collier is going to prove to be a revelation and a huge, huge impact guy. I am admittedly taking a bit of a chance on that because Ellis could very well have the better numbers, but I think Collier is going to be awesome and be in the discussion to be the number 1 pick next year.
How about this? So you've got Isaiah Collier as a first-team All-American. I've got Boogie Ellis as the Pac-12 Player of the Year. I think Boogie Ellis will be their best player.
It's possible. It's absolutely possible.
And I've got Boogie Ellis as just a spoiler alert. I've got Boogie Ellis as a third-team preseason All-American. I had Isaiah Collier actually had my third team because I construct these like teams, as you know. I know.
I was thinking about you as I did mine, and we'll probably, no doubt, we'll work that into an episode next week or whenever. But yes, you work it like a team. I just try and pick the best. Impact.
So my initial third team, I was just sort of, I just put it like 3 teams, and I start putting people where I think they belong. And my third team, All-American team, the backcourt was Isaiah Collier and Boogie Ellis. And I was like, I don't know. Is that overdoing it?
It's not.
I know it's not. You could reasonably do it. I ended up going, I think Boogie Ellis, Boo Booey as my.
Oh, look at you. Okay.
As my backcourt on my third team All-American. But either way, like this is why I have among the reasons why I have USC projected to win the Pac-12. That Boogie Ellis, Isaiah Collier, whoever you prefer, that could end up being the best backcourt in college basketball, and it's why USC has real Final Four aspirations heading into this season. How many Pac-12 programs are going to make the 2024 NCAA tournament? We'll discuss that next. But first, a word from our partners.
Wake up to football highlights and news from around the world with the one and only Morning Footy team.
Rise and shine, football fans. Welcome to Morning Footy.
Start your all-day football craze with Morning Footy, part of the all-new Golazo Network.
So the Pac-12 got 4 schools into the NCAA tournament last season. UCLA and Arizona both got 2 seeds. USC got a 10. Arizona State got an 11. Dead leg. Pac-12 going to get less than 4, more than 4, or exactly 4 teams in the 2024 NCAA tournament. Answer that and then run us through who's going to make it while unveiling how you expect the final Pac-12 standings to look.
All right. So the past 3 seasons, the Pac-12 has averaged 4 bids per season. It had 4 a season ago. It had 3 in 2022. It had 5 in 21. Now we'll remove 2020 because it didn't happen, although that was a pretty solid season for the Pac-12. If you go back even to the 3 previous tournaments before that, Pac-12 is averaging about 3.75 bids per season. So with that in mind, I'd love to see the Pac-12 outperform expectations and get there. Kind of side plot to all this is, can we get more than 2 quality teams? Like last season, UCLA and Zona were both 2 seeds. The Trojans and the Sun Devils, they both made the tournament, but they were 10 and 11 seeds. And that's been a running trend here. The Pac-12 has been in the years where it's gotten a 4th or a 5th team. Those teams have been in the double-digit seeds. Can they get a 3rd team into that 3, 4, 5, 6 seed conversation? We'll see. I'm going to say 4. And by the way, our Pac-12 preview is up on CBSSports.com on your CBS Sports app. We will link it again in the description here if you'd like to read along as you listen or check it out afterward. My order is this. I've got Arizona winning the league narrowly. Frankly, I'm going to predict that Arizona and USC finish with the same exact record, and Arizona will win the tiebreaker. However, that's going to be determined and get the 1 seed. So I've got Arizona and USC. Then I gave Cronin the benefit of the doubt. I got UCLA, and I'll give a little bit of info on some of these teams. We both will in just a second, but let me just give you the order. So Zona, USC, UCLA, and I'm pretty in on Colorado. And the reason why I'm almost hesitating a bit when you ask me how many teams are going to make the tournament is I'm going to say Zona and USC each get, I'll say they each get 3 seeds, or one gets a 2, one gets a 3. Mark me down for UCLA to be in that 5-seed territory. And then I think Colorado will be wearing home whites in the NCAA tournament. I think it'll be an 8 seed at worst. And so do we think there's going to be a big drop off after that? It's conceivable, but I've got the Buffs at 4. I've got Utah at 5. Now, this to me is going to be the semi-surprise team in the league. I think it'll make it a push. But I'll stick to what you asked me, GP. Try and hold myself as accountable as possible on this pod, as always. I'll say Utah just narrowly misses. Maybe it's the first or second team out of the field and as a 1 seed in the NIT. I've got Utah 5, Oregon 6, and then I think there's a little bit of a line of delineation, and I'll get to the bottom half of the conference later in the show.
I've got USC finishing first. And that's even like with the uncertainty surrounding Bronny James. I just think you got Isaiah Collier, Boogie Ellis, like I mentioned, that it could end up being the best backcourt in the country. And then, oh, by the way, they don't just have one future Hall of Famer's son. They also have a current Hall of Famer son in DJ Rodman, who has enrolled at USC. So this is year 11 for Andy Enfield. He's made 5 of the past 7 NCAA tournaments, went to the Elite 8 in 2021. We talked about this before during the USC shoot around. There were real questions when USC hired him because he went from like nobody knows who he is to he's in the Sweet 16 with a model for a wife. Like that happened like that.
Yes.
And next thing you know, he's being introduced as the head coach at USC.
Yep.
I mean, this was really like a 2-week. He went from people who listen to college basketball podcasts wouldn't have known his name. And then he was in the Sweet 16. His wife's all over television. He's being introduced as the next head coach at USC with no regional ties, blah, blah, blah. And he's been really good.
I don't even think Andy Enfield had the over on 10.5 seasons there. No one had Andy, and that's completely reasonable. Not a lot of coaches last 10 seasons at any kind of power conference school to begin with. So give him his flowers right now. Credit to Andy Enfield. He's been able to be consistent somewhat quietly, although there's been a couple of good seasons and he's had some real NBA talent. He's got more coming in. Picking USC is entirely reasonable. And I don't disagree with you. I just think they'll match Arizona for the best record in the league.
So I've got USC 1. I do have Arizona 2. And by the way, USC number 1 in the Pac-12. I've got them 12th in the top 25 and 1. I've got Arizona 2nd in the Pac-12, 17th in the top 25 and 1. And those are the only 2 schools I have in the top 25 and 1 from the Pac-12. At one point I had UCLA, then they just kept losing players. I have UCLA 3rd in the Pac-12, just outside of the top 25 and 1. But I mean, we'll see. They've got the greatest coach in UCLA history still. That's a great place to start. Stay in the court. Nell can stay.
Of course.
But they do have 7 freshmen on their roster. Like that's excessive even by Kentucky standards. And they have 4 international prospects. So like they have an unusual number of first-year players. And more than half of them are people, like, let's just be honest. We didn't see them at Peach Jam,
No, international. But
growing up. So,
promising, but this is, and we'll try and get to Sam before we get to the end of the show here. Sam Vicini special right here. He's going to love UCLA. A lot of international flavor. He's all too familiar with it. Sam, give us a few minutes. We'll see if we can get your thoughts on this. But how about this? So the Pac-12 Media Day was earlier this week, and it was on Wednesday, in fact. And as always, by the way, if the Mountain West and the Pac-12 merge, can we have the powers that be at the Mountain West, fix this permanently? This just outright idiocy of the Pac-12. The preseason. They do this in the postseason. The first team is 10 dudes, and the second team is 5.
It's like I don't understand who started this.
I'm blaming. You know what? I'm blaming the Pac-12.
I mean,
I'm
like I know we live in a world.
Football team, first team having 19 dudes on it.
No, it's dumb. But like this falls into my argument that you and I have.
Damn it. I just picked the best players.
Does a football team have 7
put 5 centers out, but 5 big? In fact, waking up in 2055 when that's basketball. So that's why I'm good with it.
We live in a world where it's hard to get people to agree on anything, right? Very difficult. But we should be able to agree on this. A first team all conference should be 5 players.
5 players.
5 players.
This might be 11. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, okay, it's 10. I was about to throw the headphones off as well. But 10 on the first team, 5 on the second. Really? That's what we're doing?
No wonder your league fell apart. No wonder your league fell apart.
Your game's on refrigerators, and you got 10 players on a 5-person team. Anyway, the reason I bring this up, Parrish, is that UCLA has 1 player projected to be a top 15 guy per the preseason from the league, from coaches and media, and it's a Dembona who's deserving, and he's 1 of 10 on the first team, but there are no other Bruins there, and that's because they lost so much. Jaime Jaquez gone, Jalen Clark gone, Tiger Campbell gone, David Singleton gone, Amari Bailey gone. They combined to give UCLA 65 points a night. So 5 guys on the 5, 6. You said there are 7 freshmen?
7 freshmen, 4 internationals.
And I think 6 guys don't have any college experience there. Bona's the most statistically proven guy that's back. So we are going to give Cronin the benefit of the doubt, but let's just wait. Like, if you tell me UCLA's got some stumbles early, I'm going to absolutely believe you, but we'll see on that. And on UCLA real quick, credit to the field of 68. Jeff Goodman and Rob Doster went out to Pac-12 Media Day, and they sat down and they interviewed coaches. And I saw this clip they shared on Wednesday night. Because there's going to be the split and UCLA is going off to the Big Ten. Yeah, that's really happening, folks. And Arizona's shifting off to the Big 12. Tommy Lloyd and Mick Cronin have been in contact consistently about making sure that the Pac-12's best rivalry stays in place. Now, there is nothing in agreement right now. They have to figure out what they're doing from a scheduling standpoint as a conference. You know, the Big Ten is going to be at 20 games. The Big 12's not there yet, but it's going to be there. The Big 12 is going to go to 20 games. And so it just gives, fewer non-conference scheduling opportunities theoretically, but they both want to do it. And I think they want to try and do it as soon as possible. I would prefer that these games obviously remain on campus. Arizona is much better than UCLA. But it's inspiring to see, because it's all too easy to envision something like this happening and coaches kind of being like, yeah, it's just, I hate it, but we'll just try and figure out what we can moving forward. That's not what this was. Cronin and Lloyd are both vocal and intentional about making sure that these teams play each other. Whether that means absolutely every season, I don't know, but it looks like they're going to try and continue to do it as soon as possible. That's a really, really important and good thing for West Coast basketball. And if we can get, we won't get these games in January, February, the last, weekend of the year, but that's fine. If you tell me we can get Wildcats, Bruins almost every season at some point in November and December, that's a huge, huge thing. And hopefully they can make it happen.
So the top 3 for me: USC, Arizona, UCLA. After that, I do have Colorado. You mentioned it. Colorado's another team I've considered for the top 25 and 1. This might be the best roster Tad Boyle has ever had. He does have the highest rated recruit in school history, Cody Williams.
Is he really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
that's all relative. I mean, that's relative to what, 247 of the past 24 years or so.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
He is recognized as the highest rated recruit in history until Coach Prime has something to say about it.
Well, that's I have this in my notes here. Like, is Colorado hoops going to feel the Prime effect? Although we'll see if the Prime effect is still in effect by the time the basketball season starts. But nevertheless, we'll see about that. Hopes are high in Colorado. Cody Williams should be the second best freshman in the conference to Collier. He's that kind of player, and he's not the best player on the roster. Tristan Da Silva is a stud. He's even not, I don't even think he would be a sleeper pick to win Pac-12 Player of the Year. I think what he can do in the front court, and kind of they can move him around. I think he's got a chance to be a stat stud. And then they got Eddie Lampkin, who's now come by way of TCU. He's on the roster. And then KJ Simpson. Did he make the second team? KJ Simpson's got a case. Is he on this?
I mean, hell, I think I made this.
He's one of the 10 on the first team. He's one of the 10 on the first team in the Pac-12. So, preseason wise, KJ Simpson, who's going to run this offense, considered a top 10 player. Colorado is only 4th, I think, for both of us, because we are giving Cronin the benefit of the doubt. But it is entirely possible that Colorado winds up being a better team than UCLA. Although in the Pac-12 preseason poll, Colorado was actually 5 and Oregon was 4.
After that, I've got Arizona State at 5.
Both high on them. Okay.
They got Adam Miller from LSU. Bobby Hurley's coached in 3 of the past 5 NCAA tournaments. We might have reached the point where he deserves some benefit of the doubt as well. Oregon at 6th. And then after that, I do think is where we start to break away a little bit. I had Stanford 7, Utah 8, Washington 9, Cal 10, Washington State 11, Oregon State 12. But I do think once you get past Oregon, that's where it starts to fall off a little bit for me.
Yeah, I'll get to those in just a second. Just a few more notes here for all the fan bases chiming in from the West Coast at this hour.
Good morning.
from the top on bottom, just to remember, Arizona lost to Princeton in the first round of the tournament. So Tommy Lloyd has won, 90% of his games in his first 2 seasons, 61-11, but he's 2-2 in the NCAAs. So, and they got punked by Princeton. So we'll see how they respond with that. Tubelis, Kirk Reese, Courtney Ramey are all gone. Omar Ballo is supposed to be a real impact player. We'll get to our player of the year, freshman year picks in just a second after the break. Kylan Boswell is the name I want you to know. I saw him play earlier this summer. He was with the USA Basketball. Really, really good player. It's interesting. Pelle Larsson was the trendy breakout player a season ago. That didn't exactly happen. Kylan Boswell, I think, should be that guy in this league. And they will need Larson to be a reliable double-digit scorer. They also brought aboard Keyshawn Johnson from San Diego State and Jaden Bradley from Bama. We have an entire shoot-around episode dedicated to Arizona as well as USC. Be sure to go and check that out. We go deep into them in addition to UCLA. Utah, it all starts with Brandon Carlson, who's a center that's your sneaky player of the year pick. If you want to really go to a guy who can realistically win it, but is still kind of an off the board pick. He's a 7-footer, switchable, can play him at the 4 or the 5, can shoot a bit from outside. He averaged 16.3 points last season. Really good player. And Utah I'm just in on them because of how much they bring back this season. Craig Smith is a good coach. Taking a little bit of a chance there, but I think they're going to pop. I've got them ahead of Oregon, which is a program that I feel like maybe it could be at a crossroads. We'll see. Altman, this is his 14th season, but the Ducks to me haven't felt imposing, I guess, for a good 5 seasons or so at this point. They've had some solid seasons, but I don't know. They've got some experience, and they bring back plenty from a team that won 21 games. And Fali Dante is back again. He's their best player. If he can stay healthy, and he has had injury issues throughout his college career, that'll be big. Jermaine Cuisinart, who was injured to start last season, also he is a key player in the backcourt there. But I don't know. I'm selling Oregon a little bit here. I've got them at 6 overall, and then I draw the line there. You've got Arizona State higher. You mentioned Adam Miller. They're trying to get him cleared with a waiver, unless that happened when I was in Iceland. I might have missed that, but I know he transferred again from LSU, so they got to get the waiver to make sure he's eligible. Hurley did not bring aboard really a proven transfer, but he has been a good coach, and he's made the NCAAs in 4 of his 8 seasons, which is, is a hit rate that no other coach in ASU history has been able to do. GP, Frankie Collins, Jemiah Neal is the backcourt there, and they're going to wind up determining how far they go. But I don't have Arizona State in contention to make the NCAA tournament. I've got them in the top of the bottom half of the Pac-12. Real quick rundown on the rest of the teams. Then I've got Washington. Mike Hopkins is in a hot seat season. In fact, let me just scram back up here. Hurley could theoretically be in a hot seat. See, he signed a very short extension. If they really bottomed out, maybe I think that's possible. No one else above that in my standings is hot seat. Hopkins is. He might need to make the tournament to keep his gig. I don't have that happening here. Brought aboard Severe Wheeler from Kentucky and Paul Mulcahy from Rutgers, so that's 2 well-known transfers. There's another former Kentucky Wildcat who is still here, Keon Brooks. He averaged almost 18 points last season, along with 6.7 rebounds. Braxton Mia is a 7'1" dude who can get up and down the floor and could be good for 10 double-doubles this season. I like Washington to be a little bit of a spoiler, but I don't see the Huskies really threatening to be top 5. Then I've got Stanford, and this is the team that I'm willing to admit I could be just totally misfiring on. I think there's a chance that Stanford really surprises people and works into that top 5. Haas went 14-19 last season. He has been with this program for 7 seasons and not yet made the tournament. He was probably the most surprising coach that kept his job, considering what the team was doing. We've actually had some commentary on this show about Stanford a couple of times over the past 12 to 18 months. GP and I, when we were coming of age in our college days, and actually GP was about 10 years out of college back when Mike Montgomery was there.
I graduated with Mike Montgomery.
We remember Stanford as being a legitimate national power top 10.
They went to the NCAA tournament every year.
And they got multiple 1 seeds. It's just it's a shadow of what it once was. That said, they got Spencer Jones back. He was a 14-point scorer, and I think him coming back is going to be big. Jared Bynum comes over by way of Providence, and they've got Peja Stojakovic's son, Andre, who is on this team. We'll see how much we'll see if he starts or not, but I actually think he could be like top 3-4 freshman in the conference. So they've got stuff there, but I'm almost positive at some point, and maybe multiple points on this show in the past year, I've said I am not talking optimistically about Stanford ever again until they actually prove to me that they can do it. So this is where that falls into that category, because I got him finishing 9th. At 10th, speaking of Stanford, Mark Madsen, who if we had said in the middle of February, Mark Madsen's going to get a power conference job, we would have been like, yeah, he's obviously going to Stanford. No, he's going across the bay to Cal, and he did a good job in the portal. And he reunited with Fardaws Aimaq, who was the second best rebounder in the country to Oscar Tshiebwe when Tshiebwe was at Kentucky and Aimaq was at Utah Valley. When Madsen was there, Aimaq went to Texas Tech. It didn't work out whatsoever. Now they reunite. I'm interested to see what Cal can be this year. I don't expect them to be the worst team in the league. And if you're Cal, hell, that's a big step up. Then I've got Wazoo at 11, which I'm not happy about, but Kyle Smith is a smart guy. He's a good coach. I thought he'd get Washington State to the tournament like one time in his first 4 seasons. It just didn't happen. This is now his 5th year. They lost a lot off their team. In fact, let me bring this up real quick before we take our break. Washington State, all right, TJ Bamba went to Villanova. I think he's going to be a pretty impactful player. They also lost Mohamed Gueye, who did a ton for a team that played in obscurity. He was a major player. So was Justin Powell. DJ Robbins now off to USC. There's a lot gone here. They bring in Joseph Yusufu, who was formerly at Kansas, and then Drake prior to that. But there's just a lot that needs to be proven here. So I put Wazoo 11, and then Beaver Fever, look out, Oregon State at 12. Now, Oregon State brings back a higher, shouts to Torvik for this stat, brings a higher percentage back of its roster than any other Pac-12 team. But the team did win just 11 games last season. I've got them finishing last, but I'm willing to say that Oregon State, if Tinkle does a good job, like 9th is reasonable. It's a reasonable forecast, but I've got them last. And in the preseason poll, Oregon State was also picked last. Actually, it was Cal and Wazoo. So there you have it, 1 to 12. We've each got 4 making the tournament. Is that right, GP, or are you going with 5?
I think I'm gonna go. If you don't mind.
6?
I think I'm going to go 6.
No, you do not believe that.
I'm going to go 5. I'll go 5. That'd be
a really good
consensus top 4 plus my Sun Devils. And by the way,
yeah,
if I ever hear you put Bobby Hurley's name and in the same sentence as hot seat again,
Sun Devil,
I might come through this laptop.
I'm just saying, if Arizona State,
they're lucky to have him. You ready?
I don't disagree with this. He's
coached in 3 of the past 5 NCAA tournaments. Even if he misses it this season, the Arizona State coach will have been in half of the past 6 NCAA tournaments. What are we talking about?
I know. I don't disagree whatsoever. Arizona State is lucky to have Hurley. If you look at what he's been able to accomplish there relative to every other coach that's come through there in their history, he's done a great job. But there's a ton of unknowns there. If he was not coaching Arizona State and they had that roster, I would be picking ASU 9th at best. But because he is there, that's why I've got him higher.
The next Arizona State coach, whoever it is, will not be as successful as Bobby Hurley has been.
All right, let's cut that, save it. So
yeah, keep that one forever. All right. Keep that. It's always interesting what clips like come back around.
Yeah.
I got one that came back around yesterday. Nada might have seen it. Have you seen the Kai Jones one?
I have not.
Nada, turn your mic on. Have you seen this Kai Jones tweet? Clip?
I have. The less said about Kai Jones and his unfortunate situation, the better.
So it's the night of the draft. And they're like, hey, now we go to GP with his thoughts on Kai Jones. And I actually say, I don't remember saying this, but I've seen the clip now. I'm like, listen, Kai Jones might be a good basketball player someday. I'm not ruling it out, but like to date, he's never been a good basketball player at any point in his life. And some people like Hornets fans have grabbed that, and now it's popping around a little bit. So yeah,
I'm not seeing it. Yeah, I'm not.
So I'm glad they kept that one and keep this one. The next Arizona State coach, whoever it is, will not be as successful as the current Arizona State coach has been. Bobby Hurley. Lucky to have him. Hold on to him for as long as you can.
Let's make some predictions on some awards.
Oh, no, I got one more hypothetical for you.
Oh, okay.
Madsen has a good year at Cal. Stanford opens in March. What happens?
That's a wonderful hypothetical, but I will, sitting in this chair on October 12th of 2023, I will say that Madsen does not leave after 1 year at Cal.
This is why you don't hire, or at least this is among the reasons you should consider not hiring. You're an alum of a rival, because there's always a chance he might just want to go back home.
There's absolutely the chance. Yeah.
Do you know when the Ole Miss job opened before it hired Kermit Davis, Ole Miss interviewed Penny Hardaway, and ultimately, among the reasons they decided not to hire him, this is the way it was explained to me. Like, first off, it's risky hiring a high school coach, obviously. So there's a chance it could be a disaster. And so you don't want that. But what's the opposite of a disaster? He goes to Ole Miss and kills it. Well, then what's happening?
Right.
Memphis just comes in and hires him, right? So they were like, we just don't. If it's a disaster, it's a mistake, and if it goes well, we'll lose him to his alma mater. So what's the point? And I could see Cal ended up in a similar situation here. Like, you made a great hire, but buddy, your rival's job might open, and he might just want to go back home. I don't know. I've literally never talked to him about it, but it's just something something that popped into my head. I got Boogie Ellis as the Pac-12 Player of the Year. Who does Deadleg have? We'll find out next, but first, a word from our partners.
We need the sports news anywhere.
We've got breaking news to bring you.
Then get your sports anytime you want them. Big trade news overnight to discuss.
Because we know you need sports all the time.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
A legend adds to their legacy.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, anywhere, anytime, all the time.
All right, I'll run you through mine real quick. Preseason Pac-12 awards. It's USC heavy.
Yeah, okay.
Player of the Year, Boogie Ellis, after averaging 17.7 points, 3.1 assists, 1.4 steals last season, while shooting 38.6% from three on about 6.5 attempts per game. High volume, 3-point shooter, great percentage, experienced guard. Boogie Ellis should be the best player in the Pac-12 this season. Freshman of the Year, his backcourt mate, Isaiah Collier, number one prospect in the class of 2023. And then if we're doing Coach of the Year, give me Andy Enfield. Year 11. He's made 5 of the past 7 NCAA tournaments, went to the Elite 8 in 2021, and this could end up being the best team he's ever coached.
Okay. My Pac-12 Player of the Year, I'm going to go with the player that I think will be the most impactful and statistically impressive on the team that's the 1 seed in the tournament. So I have Arizona, and I will go Omar Ballo. So he came on strong last season, had some inconsistency in league play, but I think Ballo will wind up being the most important player for Arizona, and I've got him winning Pac-12 Player of the Year. My ballot for it overall, I've got him beating out Tristan da Silva from Colorado, who I think will be second. And then I have Isaiah Collier at third for Player of the Year in the Pac-12. I obviously have Collier winning Freshman of the Year, and I have him beating out Cody Williams. Do you have, by chance, your first team selection that we sent in? Do you know your 1 through 5 by chance?
For
Pac-12.
I don't think I.
Oh, you didn't send one in? Okay, I guess we.
Well, no, we only sent top 3.
You're right. We sent top 3. Okay.
I mean, I can find it.
No, that's fine. I'm going to read off who was.
How about this? You just talk for a minute, and I'll find it.
I'm going to give you the first team. Again, it's 10 guys. This was the preseason poll in the Pac-12. Ballo, Bona at UCLA, Keon Brooks at Washington, Brandon Carlson at Utah, Isaiah Collier. And if that's your top 5, I think that I would switch out Brooks for Tristan da Silva and Boogie Ellis for Bona, and that should be your top 5. And N'Faly Dante is on there. Da Silva's on there. Boogie Ellis is on there. Spencer Jones at Stanford, who is a critical. Spencer Jones coming back for Stanford's actually pretty important. And then KJ Simpson at Colorado. That's your first team. The 5 second-team guys are Amac at California, Boswell at Zona, Kobe Johnson at USC. We didn't give him much love earlier, but he's a very important player returning for Andy Enfield. Caleb Love did get the mention, and we'll see. And then Jordan Pope at Oregon State. That is your official 23-24 preseason all conference.
We had to send in top 3 for each power conference in like a top 3 ballot for Pac-12 preseason player of the year. And mine were in order: Boogie Ellis, Isaiah Collier, and then Balo.
Okay. So we had 2 of the 3 that wound up matching. Transfer of the most importance and impact here. I don't think they're going to be overrun with it in this league. I kind of wonder if it's going to be Eddie Lampkin at Colorado. Like, Eddie Lampkin had some real flashes at TCU. He is Caleb Love is the biggest name,
right? And
it could well be him. But I'll zag just a little bit on that, and I'll say that part of Colorado getting into the tournament will be beyond KJ Simpson's playmaking ability. De Silva, who, again, I think De Silva is going to be a top 2-3 player in the conference. Cody Williams, a stud freshman. But I'll say Lampkin winds up being like a real hoss down low and almost being that X factor that definitively gets Colorado over the hump. Because, again, I think they're going to be a single-digit seed in the tournament.
I think that's a preview.
Yeah, I think that is a preview. So you got
what we got coming up next?
On Friday morning for the East Coast listeners, 9 a.m. Eastern.
Okay.
Live on YouTube.
Woo.
All right. And by the way, if you're a YouTube listener and a subscriber, we love you for it. Appreciate it. But if you do that on YouTube and you don't do it on whatever podcast service you listen to on your phone, even if you never listen on the phone, give us a subscribe. A nice little 5-star rating, whether it's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast. There's all sorts of different podcast platforms out there. However you listen to podcasts, if you are a YouTube loyalist, but you don't do that on the other side, if you could, season's coming along, come on and do it. And if you're listening to this pod as usual and you never want to watch us and see our faces on YouTube, hey, listen, I can't blame you. But if you could subscribe, it really helps us and helps expand the show. We will have our ACC episode for preview coming up on Friday. And then next week, we'll have yet another Terry Teagle update next week. But that's for the Big 12 episode.
Woo!
So I kindly request that you not shout out Terry Teagle at the end of this Pac-12 episode so we can wait to litigate this on the proper show.
I'll grant your request.
Reluctantly. Thank you.
Reluctantly, I will grant your request.
He crouched at the starting line. All right, go ahead.
Shouts to Devin Downey. Shouts to Chester, South Carolina. Shouts to Huck Larnell. Thank you guys once again for watching, listening to the Eye on College Basketball Podcast. If you're not subscribed, go subscribe anywhere you subscribe to podcasts, including Apple, Spotify. More of us than there are of them.
That's right.
That needs to be reflected in the comments. So please do that. We will talk to you again Friday morning. Oh, I can't wait. It's going to be Food Truck Friday.
What? Oh, you got Paul's Boutique. Oh, you did a band shirt here. I didn't even notice this till now.
I wanted to be a little bit like you.
Well, I did Beach Boys, California, Pac-12. You decided to go with a group from New York.
Yeah, what's the better album, Paul's Boutique or Pet Sounds?
That is, oh my goodness. Okay, both would be.
I mean, it's Pet Sounds. What are we talking about?
Pet Sounds is
one of the great albums of all time.
Pet Sounds would be regarded as the better one, but I'll tell you this. If you tell me I only can listen to one for the rest of my life and I can't listen to the other, I'm going to take Paul's Boutique every time. Like, yeah. I love Pet Sounds. In fact, I wore this. Where was I? I was wearing this shirt somewhere recently. Dude, I was in REI. It was when I was shopping to get a few more things before going to Iceland. And I'm shopping in REI and I was wearing the shirt. And I'm looking at the water pants or whatever. I'm with the flannels and all this. And I see this guy at the corner of my eye and he's kind of making his way toward me. And he's still coming. He's still making his way. He comes up. He goes, dude, Pet Sounds, one of the best albums of all time. He's like, I love the shirt. Whered you get it? I was like, I honestly can't even remember. I've had the shirt for like a decade at this point. I don't know. But it was so someone, I get comments on this shirt because it actually is the typeface and the colors of the album. Right. And I love it. That said, Paul's Boutique is the more enjoyable listening experience. And they're both, you thought you were getting out of this podcast episode in 20 seconds. They are both, for very, very different reasons, extremely influential albums because of how they shifted the dynamics of the genre that they are in. There is no album that is like Paul's Boutique, and because of royalty rights and sampling, there will never be another one. It can never happen again. And it is worth going back to. I like that shirt, man. That's a good shirt. Yeah, I dig that. Yeah.
So here's everybody's homework assignment. Watch Before Sunrise.
Yep.
Listen to Pet Sounds, Paul's Boutique.
Yeah, there we go.
And then we'll meet back here 9 Eastern on Friday morning. Talk about the ACC.
That sounds like a wonderful assignment. I'm not watching before sunrise before we do the ACC preview. That I can guarantee you.
But get to it at some point. Great film.
I will.
Great film. Bye.